Hi everyone. My name is Jack Huber. This is our moderator. What's your name again?
My name's Heather.
Heather.
Hi.
Heather's hair is natural.
It is.
It's naturally pink and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Purple. Mauve.
Purple. Yeah, mauve. That's a good color.
Mauve. I don't know what mauve is. I really don't. So Heather's going to moderate, which means I will probably annoy her because I'm really bad with moderators. But go ahead, try to moderate.
Well, I was going to say when...
No, it's not going to work. Just kidding. Go ahead.
During one of your last panels here, my friend was moderating, and he came in and you were sitting on the table.
Typically, that's where I sit.
Is that where you prefer?
Yep. Like this.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
I might even do a headstand on the table if I'm coaxed into it.
We can easily coax you.
Really?
But we have to make sure that you're using the microphone so they can pick it up on the camera.
Are they recording?
Yes. We are live.
Man.
Are you not a
I'm a
microphone?
voice actor. I don't like using microphone.
Wait a minute. That's not true. Is this streaming out live somewhere?
No.
Good. Because I might say poopy. Poopy's a bad word. It's not really.
No. You can use it as much as you'd like.
Do you want me to introduce you? Where are you from, Heather? Tell us about yourself.
Well, Chuck, I'm from Miami.
Miami? Where's that?
Well, you just travel down that way for about half an hour, and then it's like you're almost in another country, essentially.
It is. No, I've been to Miami. It is essentially, it's like New Orleans, but different.
What about you, Chuck? Where are you from?
I'm originally from Chicago. Right now I live in Fort Worth,
Wow.
which is in Texas.
Right.
And my wife and I keep having an argument being here. She thinks it's hotter here than it is in Fort Worth, and I say no.
Yeah, I've never been to Fort Worth. I've been to
It was
Dallas.
106 degrees the other day.
Wow. Yeah. I think it's only 90 here today. Only 90, right?
Only 90.
Only 90.
90's all right.
Well, are you enjoying your time here in Fort Lauderdale so far?
Yeah, so far I saw the airport and the hotel and the convention center. A lot of times in my job, cities look like a hotel, an airport, and a convention center. We try to get out and do stuff occasionally, but we just went through, we had all 7 children for 3 weeks straight for summer, because between us, my wife and I, we have 7 children between the ages of 6 and 18. So it was just a long summer stretch.
Wow.
In 106-degree heat.
Man, that's crazy.
I know, it's a little weird.
Do they all know what you do?
No, they have no idea. I just pretend I'm a CIA agent.
Well, you never know. Some parents, may not explain to a 6-year-old that they do voices for a living.
No, they know what I do. They like Sergeant Frog. They like some of the movies I've done, like Summer Wars. For those of you, how many of you is this the very first time you're ever meeting me ever in your life? Lots of you. Hi, my name is Chuck. I am a voice actor. Okay, I'll give him my spiel. I got a spiel I do at the
I would
beginning.
love to hear the spiel.
Okay. So I started acting in the role of Garlic Jr. in Dragon Ball Z, and then proceeded on to Android 17 and Emperor Pilaf and Hiei and Yu Yu Hakusho and Dr. Stein and Soul Eater and Kululu and Sergeant Frog and Hero and Shin-Chan and a bunch of other ones. I've done over 250 roles in anime, so I've been doing it for, I don't know, quite some time. I also played Dr. McCoy in Star Trek Continues, which we have a premiere here Saturday night at 7 o'clock, 7:30. I don't know. It'll be awesome. You should come see it. Vic Mignogna and Michelle Specht are also here. They are also in, I don't know, Vic does something in the show. I can't remember. Oh, he plays Captain Kirk. That's right. And he's the executive producer. And Michelle plays McKenna. And I get to travel around to conventions. And I started in anime accidentally. I was at a rehearsals one day, and my buddy came in, and he was like, "Hey, you should go audition for this Dragon Balls thing." And I was like, "Dragon Balls? That sounds naughty." And he was like, "No, it's Japanese anime." And I was like, "Okay, it's definitely naughty." And he's like, "No, go audition. Here's this guy. His name's Chris Sabat. Here's his number. Give him a call." And so I was like, beep, 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 beep. And it rang, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, hello, hi." And I was like, "Hey, I'm supposed to audition for Dragon Balls?" And he was like,
Oh yeah, actually it's Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, it's a common mistake people make. It's not, but you don't pronounce it balls. You say Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, you want to come in like tomorrow or like Friday, like 4 o'clock, like maybe 5. Once you come at like 4 o'clock on Friday, maybe. Hold on, let me get a pencil.
And then like he went away and got a pencil, and then he came back, and
He was like, okay, so how about like 4 o'clock?
And I was like, okay.
He goes, great, click.
And I was like, wow, I wonder where I'm supposed to audition. And then he called back and he was like,
Oh, I forgot to tell you where. Do you know where the bank building? It's like a bank building off Roof Snow and 820. You can come by and like if you go through the gas station, like to get to the parking lot, it's much easier.
And so then I ended up, because when Funimation started, it was just like some guys in an office, and it was not a big deal at all. And I'd come from Chicago, and I'd been a professional actor in Chicago for years before I moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then, so this seemed like the stupidest audition I'd ever had in my life. I thought, this is dumb. They are so lucky to have me, and I am snooty and looking down on this audition because it's whatever, Dragon Ball Z, never heard of, didn't know what it was. And turned out to be the biggest career thing that ever happened to me. So let that be a lesson to you. Never be rude to anyone. And I wasn't rude. Just in my head, I was like, I'm smarter and better than you. But luckily, I kept it to myself. Sometimes if you're snooty in your head, that's okay. You'll be like, I can say this inside my head all I want. And then when you turn out to be wrong, you can be like, see, you were totally wrong. And then you get to go on with life having not made a complete dork of yourself. I tend to make a dork of myself constantly. That is one of my goals every day when I wake up, is to embarrass myself or to look like a fool or to fail in some way. Because if you don't do that, then you're not trying hard enough, in my opinion. Like you should endeavor to make yourself uncomfortable every day.
Have you done it yet today, or are we on the
I
way?
think this is it.
This is it?
No. Yeah, I was a little uncomfortable today. I was awkwardly at a Publix grocery trying to get an Uber, and it was hot.
I was going to ask if you got a pub sub.
I don't know what you're talking
A
about.
public sub?
They have subs there?
Are you guys with me on this one? Sure.
We don't have Publix in Fort Worth.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Sorry.
Okay. We'll continue on.
Please do.
But I'll get a pub sub maybe later. Maybe on Saturday. Saturday's my day when I can eat whatever I want. It's really fun. It's sort of like slow carb. I don't know if you know slow carb. It's not like low carb, it's slow carb. So you eat like nothing, no white sugar, no white flour, 6 days a week, and then on 1 day a week, you gorge yourself ridiculously on stupid stuff. It's like you wake up and eat 5 Reese's peanut butter cups just for breakfast. My children think I'm crazy. Like, Dad, what are you doing? I'm like, breakfast. But it's sugar and it's eggs. It's like pancakes, right? Flour. So that's how I got started in the business. And this has grown, like anime has grown incredibly since we started. Like, back in the day, I watched, Speed Racer, and I was like, this cartoon is awesome. And not knowing that it was anime, because nobody told us. It was just all that was on, because back in those days, there was just one, television station to look at. And you'd come home after school and watch whatever was on it. There was like an hour and a half, 2 hour window where you could be happy. And then after that, you were sad. You were like, when are they going to invent the internet? People didn't say that. Hello, welcome. Hi. Normally, this is the part where I answer some questions.
That'd be awesome.
You think that's the way to go?
This is kind of like your time. We're just here for the ride.
This is my time. I'd like to tell you about the story of my life. Do you guys have any questions for me? All right. Oh, yes, you got a question.
Are you voice acting Android 17 and GBC Super?
Yes, I am. And the DB Fighters game, I just recorded that. I know the whole plot and story and could spoil everything. I totally could, but it's being recorded. So I can't say anything.
Can we turn off the camera real quick?
I can tell you it has nothing to do with... I can tell you Android 17's in it. Yes. You get that email, and it's like, do you want to come in for this? And this was a fun one because my children get Game Informer magazine, and the DB Fighters game was in the issue that came in the mail that day, and they were like, oh, Dad, DB Fighters. And I was like, oh, I'm going to record that. And they were like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's about as much love as I get from the children for my job. My oldest son, he's 28. He went back in the day when DBZ first came out. I was like, Josh, watch my show. It's a really great show. You're gonna love it. And he sat down to watch it, and he was like, this fight is taking a really long time. And I was like, okay, you're not gonna like this show. This show's not for you. And so he went away. And do you know my theory about Dragon Ball Z is that it's Japanese animated professional wrestling?
Speaking of which, you know, we have Dragon Ball Z characters in the professional wrestling show.
I know. Mr. Satan is there, and Master Roshi is the MC for the women's fights.
He's the referee.
The referee.
Yes,
for the
and we also have Jimmy Firecracker.
And Jimmy Firecracker. So yeah, I just actually tweeted a picture of the Mr. Satan to Chris Rager while wearing the belt.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I said, Mr. Satan's going down, and he said, Chuck is a chump, and I said, you are king of the home for infinite losers. Because for those of you who are DBZ fans, you know it used to be hell, but for whatever reason, they didn't want to say the word hell, and so they painted it so it was HFIL, and they said it was the home for infinite losers. And I still want to get a t-shirt that says home for infinite losers. But the technical title of this panel is Yu Yu Hakusho and DBZ, and I haven't really mentioned Yu Yu Hakusho before, and one of the questions that people normally ask me is, what is your favorite character? And I typically say that it's Hiei, because he's awesome. Which, by the way, before I go into why Hiei is awesome, a guy who runs the subreddit for Yu Yu Hakusho, which I'm doing an AMA the last weekend in August, on the subreddit, I've been hearing rumors that something good was going to happen with Yu Yu Hakusho for probably about a year now, but nobody could ever tell me where those rumors came from. Well, this guy who runs the subreddit pointed me towards a Japanese website that is apparently the Yu Yu Hakusho website in Japan, and it said to look for an announcement that would introduce Yu Yu Hakusho to younger fans sometime around October. So maybe Yu Yu Hakusho's getting a reboot, which would be awesome. But Hiei is my favorite character because I'd never been to a convention before, and I was up at Funimation. They were like, hey, Chuck, do you want to go to a con? I was like, yeah! What's a con? And they were like, it's a place where people cosplay. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. What is that? And they gave me a plane ticket, and I was like, free plane ticket? And I literally thought I was going to a convention to pass out flyers, like, watch Yu Yu Hakusho, it's a great show, I love this show, I play Hiei, he's a great character, watch my show. And they were like, no, Chuck, you're gonna be signing autographs. And I was like, oh, you're stupid. Like, no, Chuck, you're stupid, you don't know what's going on. And I seriously did not think they knew what they were talking about. I thought it was gonna be really embarrassing that they were gonna set me up at a table, like, please get his autograph. And I was like, this is so dumb. And I got there, and I got to the table, and you know how they queue the lineup away from the table? So there was nobody at the table, and I was like 5 minutes late. I was like, see? There's no one here. And they were like, no, Chuck, that's your line for autographs, So there was like I signed autographs for 4 hours. The first time I ever signed an autograph. Signed them for 4 hours straight. And I really didn't know what was happening. I was really confused because people were coming up to the table like, and I was like, I was a little nervous for the first like 10, 15 minutes. And then after that, I kind of got used to it. And I was like, okay, these people really like this show. And they're like, no, I love you. And I'm like, you don't even know me. They're like, can I touch your face? I'm like, yes. Why did you touch my face? Because you're Hiei. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Do the voice. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. I'm Hiei, Dragon of the Darkness Flame. And then everybody cheers, and I was like, wow, this is fun. So I decided I liked it. It was much better than an 8-hour gig passing out flyers, which is what I thought I was going to do. I really did. So I signed autographs for 4 hours, and then I was like, oh, I guess I'm famous. And then I walked off the side of the convention to a Starbucks, and I was like, not famous anymore.
And it's kind of like the perfect way to experience that. So, because like every once in a while, I get to go to like a convention, especially at big anime conventions where it's tightly focused anime crew all there to see like, you know, you're Dr. Stein, and I'm like, yes, and people flip out or whatever. And then you walk off the site, and you're nobody again, which is awesome. Because the only place I've ever been recognized in real life, and it happens every time I go to a GameStop or a Game Exchange with my children, and they keep swearing that I've called ahead and paid people to do it. Like, you did that on purpose. But I came up, we were exchanging some PlayStation 2 games at a Game Exchange, and the guy was like, I'm sorry, I keep hearing your voice and think, I know who, and it just sounds like some anime I've heard, and I'm like, I do Dr. Stein, and he was like, oh my God! And my children were like, oh, Dad, you're embarrassing us. And I was like, free games! He's like, no, you have to stop playing. I was like, all right, that's cool. But so, occasionally at a GameStop or a Game Exchange, or at like theater things, young actor people will recognize who you are in town. But so it's kind of a perfect way to experience that sort of popularity, to like experience it in an intense way and then be able to leave it. Because it would be very difficult to be one of those guys who's like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio or you know, Matt Damon or something. Although Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg have an agreement that if either of them ever gets recognized as the other person, that they are allowed to sign the autograph as the other person.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people come up to Matt Damon and like, Mark Wahlberg! And he's like, yeah, and they sign the autograph.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any like crazy fan experiences besides the face touching?
No, not a lot of crazy fans, like someone paints their body blue and hides naked in my hotel room. That didn't happen to me.
yet.
That happened to David Eddington, the guy who plays Claptrap. He had a crazy fan.
Wait, that really happened?
Yeah, it's a true story. It's a great story.
Are we just gonna leave it at that?
Someone painted their body totally blue and like jumped on him in his hotel room and like jumped on him like a pygmy marmoset and just sort of gripped onto his body. And the friend he was with picked up a lamp to hit the guy and accidentally knocked out David. And so he said he woke up with like a state trooper or a sheriff over him, and he was like, I swear a blue guy just jumped on me. They're like, yes, he's handcuffed over there. It'll be okay. So no, I have, like I said, I've got a lot of children and a wife, and I kind of exude dadness a lot of times, so I think that dispels any sort of craziness that would normally come my way. And Jessica and I are pretty accessible and normal. It's not like, you know, to some extent, if you're like, really like, stay away and I've got security, like that propels that sort of like fandom thing, which you can sort of craft your persona that way, which is a perfectly lovely way to do it. We just prefer to be like, have people go like, oh, there goes Chuck. You know, like that's cool for me because it's a lot of heart. You know, I have lots of children to take care of, so I prefer.
7. That's a lot. That is a lot.
I know it is. They eat so much. Hungry? I just fed you yesterday. Yeah, they eat a lot. That's when they're home for the summer. All Jess and I do all day long is make food. It is a constant stream. We sometimes just place out large mounds of different things and let them assemble their own food.
But do they get Reese's for breakfast as well, or just you?
No, just me.
Oh. I also wanted to know, when we're talking about Dragon Balls or Dragon Ball Z,
Right.
when you initially auditioned for this voice, did you know what the character looked like?
The first character I got was Garlic Jr., and so I came into the audition, and I had gone to theater school at the Goodman School of Drama in Chicago, very respected, well-known school, and I'd done Shakespeare and worked at the Steppenwolf Theater and was a pretty serious theater guy. But you typically only get cast as an actor as someone who you look like, you know. So I was getting cast as, you know, early 20, mid-20s people. Probably my very first TV film role, I played a murderer
on America's Most Wanted, and then which was funny because you get cast as the recreation, reenactment murderer in America's Most Wanted, and they have this like whole meeting with you, and they're like, people are stupid. You may be arrested. Once the show airs, here's the producer's number you call, just in case you are arrested, because people will see the show and see the reenactment and be like, I know that murderer. He's an actor, lives down the street. Why'd they film him killing that guy? But doing anime, I walked in and it was Garlic Jr. and he's a short, sort of megalomaniac alien, and I was like, I get to be that guy? I'm gonna push you into the dead zone. And they're like, perfect. And I was like, awesome, okay. So, like getting to do strange and crazy voices wasn't something I ever thought was gonna be, because they didn't teach that in theater school. But they did teach how to physicalize and how to bring characters to life. So that's where I gathered all that sort of knowledge.
And do you find when you are doing these characters that you are like doing the physical part in the booth?
Oh yes, for a while when I was doing Austria from Hetalia, I always had to be wiggling my hands. I don't know why, but it was just something I needed to do to get the character to come out of my face.
I like that.
Yeah. So I physicalize a lot.
Kibito's got a very deep voice, and I
Pretend I have a large chest when I'm doing him. I pretend I'm beefy. Yes, sir.
Did you get to play the Dragon Ball FighterZ game?
I can neither confirm nor deny that anything you have just said is something I understand. I don't know. They don't like. We've been doing it so long. They don't really have assigned disclaimers or NDAs or anything anymore. They just assume that we know we're supposed to keep our mouths shut. But no, I'll tell you. No, I didn't get to play the game. Not yet. But I can tell you, it looks awesome.
Can't wait for the beta.
Actually, I have the game right here. No, okay. Wouldn't that be awesome? Chuck totally stole the game and played it for us at his panel. It's got a really awesome plot, though. I can't tell you anything about it, but it might be awesome. And it might. I might have a big part. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lying. Maybe I'm not even in it. Maybe Dragon Ball FighterZ isn't even really a game. Is that enough smokescreen? Did I save myself?
I think you did.
I'm not in trouble with Funimation. I'm always in trouble with Funimation. Yes.
Was it fun playing Android 17?
Android 17 was awesome because I had done Garlic Jr. and then they brought me in to do to audition for Android 17, and I was like, I came in with all these ideas, like I'm gonna be Android 17, and I'm like in the booth and I'm auditioning. I'm like, I'm gonna kill, and Sabat was like, no man, no, just relax, don't do it. And I'm like, I'm Android 7. He's like, no man, just chill out, just less, just don't do it. And I'm like, I'm Android. And he's like, no man, seriously, just don't do it. And I was like, I'm Android 17. I'm gonna kill you. He's like, perfect. I was like, I'm not even doing anything. It's not even acting. He's like, that's what I want. I was like, okay. So it was like, it's what Sabat calls coffee rolls. Rolls you can hold a cup of coffee while doing. So you're like, humans are stupid. I'm done with work.
Now I'm going to picture that every time I hear the voice, just you with a cup of coffee.
Just me with a cup of coffee. Yeah.
How do you go about making similar sounding characters, like let's say EA and Android 17, unique in their own way?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the writing and the character and the attitude and the personality. EA's a little bit more gruff and angry and sort of grumpy. Android 17's just a little more chill. A lot of times people say Garlic Jr. and Emperor Pilaf sound similar. I'm gonna push you into the dead zone. Oh, I'm Emperor Pilaf. But Pilaf is actually a character I got by doing my best imitation of Edith Bunker from All in the Family. Ow, Archie! So Emperor Pilaf is really like a 60-year-old woman from Queens. And Garlic Jr. was sort of just my inner angry alien, so they come from different places. But really, you differentiate them with the situation that they're in and the intention that they... Because Emperor Pilaf is always certain he's going to succeed, but really deep down inside he always knows he's going to fail.
Whereas Garlic Jr. was actually powerful. Emperor Pilaf is not powerful. Poor Emperor Pilaf. Yes.
Your favorite moment as he?
Dragon of the Darkness. Flame. Yeah, the Dark Tournament. All that was pretty amazing. And if it comes back in October, if they announce a reboot, that'll be amazing. Because there's like a whole generation of young people that don't know what Yu Yu Hakusho is. Yes, I'm talking to you, young person.
So obviously we've heard a plethora of your voices so far today.
Plethora? What does
Yes.
that word mean?
Well, I wish I could tell you. Are there any voices that maybe when you started doing them, you're like, oh goodness, like this is eventually going to be a huge strain down the line?
No, not really. You know, probably the one that was the biggest strain on my voice was Shao Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist. I know everyone always hisses at that. They're like,
A collective hiss.
I know, people will come up to the table and be like, you're a horrible human being. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because you played Shao Tucker. And I'm like, it's just imaginary. Why did you do that to Nina? I'm like, it's not real. I hate you and you should die. You're like a 7-year-old girl. You should really just... Where's your mom? She hates you too. I do. Yelling from the back. Okay, Mom, bye. But yeah, people really hate Shao Tucker. But Shao Tucker, after he turns the Chimera form, he just whispers. And you'd think whispering is easy, but whispering is actually one of the first things they teach you in voice and speech class is that if you're losing your voice, just stop talking. Don't whisper, because whispering is actually harder on your voice than actually talking, which I didn't know. But the other thing about whispering is that it's hard to differentiate emotions with whispering. So it's like, I am so happy. I am going to kill you. You know, they sound exactly the same. So it's kind of, it was difficult to get the sort of communication of the character across. But it ended up being really, really creepy and awesome, really crossum. And I know I made up that word right there.
Right now?
Right there.
Okay.
Crossum.
Credit. Chuck.
Chuck Huber. Hashtag. Everything is mine. That'd be great if everything was mine. But yeah, the whispering is probably the one that was the hardest on my voice. Curiously enough. Yes.
Was there any difference in your performance used in Dragon Ball Z and Kai?
Yes. We were much better in Kai. Because they would play you the old one, and we'd be like, oh gosh, we recorded that? Because a lot of it like didn't match the flaps, and we were kind of like, because back in the day when we were starting, it was like, whatever, and we just kind of come into the booth and like, we didn't think we were doing something, we thought it was cool, like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but we weren't like, you didn't think you were creating an icon for the world. You know, you were just some little fighting anime show, whatever, so you just kind of, now, when we got to Kai, and especially now with Super, now it's like, suddenly these properties have become super huge worldwide sort of phenomenon that everybody knows, and you're like, yeah, this is all of a sudden very important. So like, number one, we're more skilled. Number two, all the characters sound older, because we're all older. But yeah, probably the biggest difference is that we care a lot more now, and because we have more skill, we're able to do more with caring about it in making sure that all the lines are done to the best of our ability. Whereas before, we used to maybe roll into the booth like, you know, we were in our 20s, so it was like, dude, I still haven't slept. Oh, I smell like the street. Yeah, come on, let's do some recording, you know, and then you'd like record and be like, yeah, let's go, you know. And so it's totally different now. We're a little bit more serious about it now. We were kind of serious about it back then, but not as much as we are now. Because now people are like, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of people who wish we would die so that they could take our jobs. Not necessarily wish we would die. But like, you know, like before it was like they just kept passing parts out to the same people because they didn't have actors. They're like, well, you get 2 parts and you get 2 parts and you get 2 parts. And so
in Dragon Ball Z, I play Master Shen, Mr. Shu, Garlic Jr., Emperor Pilaf, Android 17, Kibito. You just we've 6 more episodes in, you get to play characters again. So, whereas nowadays it's like famous people want to be in it. And you're like, oh, I'm suddenly competing against people who are, fans but also famous. And you're like, oh, Tom Hanks wants my part? No, not really. That'd be kind of awesome.
Who would Tom Hanks voice?
Tom Hanks,
Dragon
Emperor
Ball Z.
Pilaf.
Yeah?
No, I don't know. He'd be great as Master Roshi. Yes.
He'll be great as Bulma.
Is Bulma?
Tom Hanks would be a great Bulma.
Oh, okay. I love him.
Question back.
He has the high voice.
So with that all being said, what were like out of all the series you've done, what were like the hardest mouth flaps that you've ever had to match up?
I know this very specifically, and it was in Shin-Chan. And in Shin-Chan, Hiro, for whatever reason, said spaghetti 43 times in a row, and then said, wow, that's weird, and then said spaghetti 27 more times in a row. Just picture that, because you're going spaghetti, 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 and it starts to not sound like a word. And you're like, I am just an alien meat puppet, because the stuff is coming out of your face. Now you what? Spaghetti, 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 spaghetti. Also, spaghetti is a hard word to say quickly over and over again. So that was one, and then if you put on top of that, every time I screwed up, it became hilarious to the director and engineer because they knew how much trouble it was giving me. So I'd get, 41 spaghettis in and then blow it, and have to go back to the beginning and start over. So that was pretty tough.
They wouldn't move it over?
Eventually, we figured out a place where we could cut and come in and finish some spaghettis. But for the first maybe 6 or 7 times, he wanted it in one take. I think he was just torturing me. Yeah.
Since we're on the S, can we go to Star Trek?
Sure. You want to talk about some Star Trek?
Yeah. How did you get involved with Vic and the part of McCoy? By the way, the voice is spot on.
Oh, thank you very much.
Spot on.
It is, other than Dragon Ball Z and the anime career, the right up there with it is Star Trek Continues. And it is also one of those things, just like Dragon Ball Z, where I was like, this is stupid. Because Vic was like, hey, Chuck, do you want... And Vic sounds nothing like that. He was like, hey, do you want to come to my mom's basement on some cardboard sets and do a fan series? And I was like, I'll do it, because I love you and you're my friend, but I don't know what we're doing. And I agreed to do it, and he... the first time I knew it was different than what I thought it was going to be, because I'd seen some of his he had done fan things before he did like this Napoleon Dynamite thing and some other things for fans. And I thought it was mostly just for him. I thought we were going to do like a fan series to make Vic feel like he was Captain Kirk. And I didn't understand that there were any other fan series out there. I didn't know the genre that deeply. And so I was like, okay, if I have to, I will go do this thing for you. You're welcome. And then he was like, hey, Chuck, guess who's going to play Sulu? I was like, I don't know. Who? He's like, Grant Imahara from Mythbusters. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? It's a fan? What's happening? And he was like, oh, and Chris Doohan, son of James Doohan, the original Scotty, is going to play our Scotty. And I was like, record scratch? Wait a minute. I was like, this isn't just like a fan. So he's like, no, it's going to be like it's going to be like a series. I'm going to do it just like the original series, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be perfect. And so I was like, okay. And I showed up for the vignettes. And recorded the vignettes, and then the schedule for the first episode came immediately the day after I was cast in a Tom Hanks produced movie called Parkland. I got cast in Parkland, and the schedule came out, and then Vic put his schedule out, and they overlapped, and I was like, I can't skip the Tom Hanks movie. And he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get my friend, not you, to be McCoy. So
I was not McCoy for the first 2 episodes, and then fans really wanted me back, so he kindly brought me back as McCoy for episodes 3 through 11. And it's amazing. It is as important as the anime work that I've done. It's probably my favorite thing. I used to get to do every year, twice a year for 2 weeks or so. We were really like a family. It was like, because we did it for 5 years. So it was like doing a television series for 5 years, except we didn't do it week in, week out. But it was always being planned. So it was always in the back of your mind. It was always on your schedule. And now only premieres are on our schedule, which is a little sad. But the crew is probably going to get together to do something awesome in the future, an original property. But yeah, the work we did there was some of the best work I've done. And you get to go, I fly around the world still, and I was at like an anime convention in Dublin, and like these middle-aged guys like my age, like 6 of them come walking up to the table, and they're like, "You're Dr. McCoy," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're here?" Because I have Dr. McCoy fans in Ireland, and they were like, "Yeah, sign this," and so I was signing Star Trek stuff in Ireland, and that's when I was like, "Wow, I'm really solidified into the fandom," which is amazing because now when people watch in 150, I told Vic this. I said in 150 years, when people watch Star Trek, they will watch Star Trek. Star Trek Continues, then the movies, then Next Generation, so that like we've permanently put ourselves in the middle of the story arcs. And you're gonna love the episodes that are coming out. You're gonna love how we finish. It's amazing.
He's wearing a Star Trek shirt, so better.
Yeah, I see it. It's
We
awesome.
only have about 5 minutes left, John.
Only 5 minutes. What's your question, young lady?
What's it like having Justin Cook as a producer?
Justin's a great guy. It's funny because Justin started. Chris Sabat was it was a table like this. Chris Sabat was directing. Justin Cook was the engineer. He wasn't even the engineer first. I think John Bergmeyer was the first engineer. So he's the guy recording all the stuff on the computer, pressing record and then taking the sound files and putting them where they need to go in the magic box or computer or whatever it is. But Justin Cook is an amazingly chill dude. Like, to run production for Funimation with all those different personalities, mine included, which are not always the easiest personalities to deal with from time to time. I've never seen him lose his temper. I've never seen him even get riled or upset. He's always like, "Yeah, okay." He's always just like very chill and calm, which is a great way to produce something, especially as much as they produce over at Funimation with like 14 studios running 10 to 12 hours a day. So yeah, Justin's an amazing boss. I say boss, but you guys are really my boss. The fans are my boss, because if it weren't for conventions, like I came to a really interesting point in my career where I used to huff and puff to get industrials and commercial work, because that would pay the bills, but that was a lot of effort and attention towards something. I really don't care about toothpaste. So like for me to get excited about a toothpaste commercial, like, and put effort and energy into it was not something I wanted to do. But because conventions have come along and are able to support us as artists, I can put my energy into something that I really do love, which is talking to fans and talking about the genre or the work, or doing panels like this. And so I have a job now that takes me all over the world because of you guys, my real boss. And now I told my agent, I was like, I don't have to do commercial or industrial auditions anymore. Is that okay? And she was like, yeah, that's actually what people as they become successful get to do. And I was like, I'm successful? And she went, yes, you're successful. I was like, awesome. So Justin's a great boss, but you guys are my favorite boss. Aw, I'm so sweet. Any last question?
Yeah, how'd you get the Hiei part?
Hiei, I wanted Yusuke. That was the one I was going for. I really, really wanted Yusuke. But they had me audition for all of them, I believe, all the main 4. And Hiei doesn't come in till episode 5, and they give out the recording blocks in 4-episode blocks. So I knew they were recording Yu Yu Hakusho, and I hadn't been called in. So I was so sad, and like I let it ruin my life for like 2 weeks that I didn't get cast in Yu Yu Hakusho. And then they called me in as Hiei, so I had completely forgotten about Yusuke by that point, and I was just so excited to be one of the main characters in the show that I was like, yes, I love Hiei, he's awesome. But it was one of those lessons in life where I had spent so much time being upset and sad and beating myself up because I didn't get a thing, and then it turns out I did get it. So I was like, yeah, I got the thing.
Well, any final things you want to plug before you paint yourself blue and hide in a hotel room?
Don't tell my wife.
No.
That'll be funny. Yes, what am I doing? I'll be down at my table from 4:30 to 6 today, and then I'll be back here tomorrow at 3, I think. My wife has all her artwork at table 1117. You can go visit her. Her name's Jessica. She's also awesome. Oh, yes. Confirmed. The telephone confirms it. Yeah, that's about it for plugging for me now. Oh, I also teach online voice acting classes that you can take from the comfort of your own home that start up again in September. You can find out about them on my Facebook page, Chuck Huber, with the umlauts over the U, or you can find out Chuck_Huber at the Twitter. I try to tweet and be Twitterific occasionally. I'm not the best at the social media because I'm busy.
You're allowed. You're allowed to be busy.
I'm allowed to be busy. I'm not really that busy. What's the other word for that? Lazy is what I am.
Well, either way, this has been awesome. And thank you so much again. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, for Chuck Huber! And now the next panel is Chuck Huber drinks his tea while sitting on a table.
Chuck drinks his tea.